We think of sleep as private, a locked door, a dim room, silence, no one watching, no one listening. For almost the entire history of our species, that would have sounded insane. Picture yourself, 300,000 years ago. No door, because there is no door. No room of your own, because there is no your own. You lie down on packed earth, and on every side of you, close enough to touch, are the people you've known your whole life. Someone breathes, someone turns. Somewhere close, a child is nursed in the dark. You are never, not once in your entire life, unheard while you sleep. So why did no one ever sleep alone? It wasn't just fear of the dark. It was something stranger than that. Night was when the world turned dangerous, eyes catching firelight from the tree line. A sound that might be wind, might not be. Somewhere out past the edge of the light, something was always moving, and most nights, nobody ever found out what. A sleeper alone was the easiest kill a predator would ever find. So you'd think someone stood guard. A rotation. A watchman with a spear, staring into the black while everyone else slept. Nobody did. And that's the strange part. When researchers Samson and Alyssa Crittenden tracked a Hadza camp in Tanzania for 20 straight nights, they found something almost impossible. Across the entire study, there was almost no moment, day or night, when every single person in camp was asleep at once. No one was assigned to stay up. No one volunteered. It just never happened. The youngest hunters were still murmuring by the fire long after midnight. The oldest woman in camp had already opened her eyes before the sky changed color. Somewhere between them, at every hour, someone was listening. The camp didn't need a night watch. The camp was the night watch. But how much of the night did anyone actually spend asleep? Less than you'd think, and not for the reason you'd guess. Researchers studying the Hadza, alongside the San of Namibia and the Tseman of Bolivia, 3 people separated by oceans and thousands of years, found something they didn't expect. None of them slept in one unbroken block. They drifted in and out, waking briefly in the middle of the night, then sliding back under. 3 cultures, 3 continents, no contact with each other for tens of thousands of years, and almost the same rhythm of sleep in all 3. That's not coincidence. That's memory, written into the body long before any of them ever met. So if sleep wasn't private, and it wasn't even continuous, was anything about it truly your own? Almost nothing. The anthropologist Carol Worthman spent years studying how people sleep outside the industrialized world, and what she found flips something we never even think to question. We assume a quiet room, alone, is what rest is supposed to look like, and everything else is a downgrade. Her research says the opposite. Sleeping tangled in the warmth and sound of other bodies is the old pattern. The one etched into 500,000 years of nights. The silent room. The bed built for one. That's the invention. That's the strange one. And it wasn't just the adults folded into that closeness. Picture a newborn in an Aka camp, deep in the forests of Central Africa. That baby is barely in one set of arms before it's passed to the next. An ant while the mother forages. An older cousin at midday. A grandmother's chest by the fire at night. The anthropologist Hrdy found something remarkable. By 18 weeks old, an Aka infant spends more time held by people who are not its mother than by the mother herself. Someone once asked an Efe mother who takes care of the babies in her community. She didn't name a person. She said, "We all do." That wasn't sentiment, that was survival. A human baby is too fragile, too slow growing, too expensive to keep alive for one woman to carry alone. It took a circle of hands passing a child from chest to chest, day and night, just to get that child to adulthood. But someone still had to be first awake. First to notice if the fire had died, if a sound didn't belong. Before the hunters had even opened their eyes, one woman already had. Not the strongest, not the youngest, the grandmother. Across hunter-gatherer societies, it's consistently the oldest women, the ones long past their childbearing years, who wake first, hours before anyone else. Researchers call this the grandmother hypothesis. Women who lived well past fertility because that early morning vigilance, feeding embers, scanning the tree line, kept their grandchildren alive one more day. Evolution didn't need to design a night guard. It just needed to keep the grandmothers around. So here's the strange part. Humans spent hundreds of thousands of years sleeping shoulder to shoulder, every night, every generation, never alone. Then, almost overnight, we stopped. Even after agriculture, even after walls and roofs and villages, most people still slept multiple to a bed, multiple to a room. Servants beside family, children beside parents, strangers sharing an in-bed with someone they'd met hours earlier. A private room, sealed and silent, for one sleeper only, was for most of history a luxury almost no one had access to. For nearly everyone else, being alone in the dark wasn't peace. It was closer to a punishment. None of this means something's wrong with you for loving your quiet room and your locked door. Your world doesn't hold the dangers that once made solitude lethal, and there's nothing broken about wanting rest that's finally, fully your own. But some part of you still remembers the other way. The flinch at a sound in an empty house. The strange comfort of hearing someone breathing in the next room. That instinct that rises the moment you're truly, completely alone in the dark. Some quiet, wordless part of you still listening for the fire, still listening for the others. It was built over hundreds of thousands of nights, none of them spent alone. And it's still, quietly, running in you now.